So all I've done is created a template that'll cover all the rust, and that rust there, I've got another one. Which way does it go? That way. No, other way, that way. So we'll get that one as well. So just with my cardboard template, and I just traced around the very edge and then cut about 40 mil inside that edge, just from the line I've cut inside the edge, and I'll get to why in a minute. So after that came out, which is that section there, and I started bending up that guy. Now it doesn't have to be perfect at this minute, and I'll explain that later, but I've just got some holes drilled for spot welds down that side, and we're just going to stitch weld in the top, because this section here is actually overlapped. You'll see the spot welds there and there. Now I can't see the others, but they're there. And so I'm going to stitch weld across there, because that is double skinned and overlapped. You can see by the seam sealer there. But once we get to this side, I'm going to do what's called cut and butt. It's where you run the grinder down the edge of your panel and actually cut the perfect line as you're welding it in. So we'll have this side spot welded, that side tack welded, and then just let it flex as we push it down. Same with here, we'll just take it out as we go in. I hammered those ribs out, I don't miss them, and I'm not going to put ribs into that because I don't have the time nor the equipment. Putting ribs into that guy, or trying to order a specific pressed floor pan, I just don't have time for it. So we'll just make do with what's going on here. I'll get that spot welded, that tack welded, and then we'll start cutting and butting that side. So setting it up, I've got 0.8 wire in it this time. Here, I'm going to go across 1 mil. This is actually 1.1, so 0.8 wire, 1.1. I want 16 on volts and 5 on the wire speed. Trust me, this shit's important. You increase your chances of doing a half decent job if you take all the guesswork out of that shit there. 16 and 5 on the wire speed, let's get cracking. I'm just gonna spot weld these two guys, maybe that third, and see how it's still sitting up there, still sitting up here. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna get these guys spotted, and then just start forcing that down into the shape, and then start coming around it. Okay, so 3 spot welds, and then I'm just going to start forcing that down. You can see there's about a 4 or 5 mil gap. You start forcing it down, spot weld that guy, start forcing it down, spot weld that guy, and just chase it that way, so you end up with your perfect curve. And then we'll do the same across there till we've got that down. I'm just going to pull just a little bit of curve into that. Yeah, see, I can get that one now. He's touching, so that gap's gone. Oh, and those two are getting pretty close. So I'll get that one. I'll push him down and get that one. That was a terrible weld, but I got it. That's better. You'd never know I messed it up the first time, would you? I'll start forcing that down. Now, on this edge, it's spot welded in from factory, right? So you're just going to seam seal all the way down that when you're done. For now, let's just keep moving on. I'll get that. So just lean in on him. My head's probably in the way, you won't see shit. Now I'm just going to start chasing him across there, just pushing him down, forcing him down. I reckon I can get to about there, then I'm going to have to start pulling him down. So that's now not going to move. I've got a couple of tacks across to there, but that corner, see how it's up in the air? That's where I'm going to start to cut and butt across here. I'm literally going to cut a line straight down there. Just hold your grinder hold your grinder on a bit of an angle and go straight down there and start cutting that edge. Then you can push that into the cut, and that will bring all of this down. When this guy starts to mate up, you can bring it all down. Don't worry about the ribs, I've already flattened them out, but we can dress them up as we go along. By dress them up, I mean put a dolly underneath and just tap it down. But we'll start by cutting him. Now don't worry about the scrap part that's underneath. Once you finish cutting along all the lines, it'll just come out from underneath. So now, so if I get him down like that, I might actually go a bit further. So I really want to get that bit there tacked. See, that's actually, I'll put one there. That's perfectly the same height. So I'll bang one on there. And so if you run something across that now, it's the same height. I'll cut through there, bring him up, and then we'll tap all this section up and do the same going back this way. This corner won't come down any further until we start cutting along there, but if you just keep working your way along, we'll get this corner down. Got a bit wild on me then. And so I've just tapped that down a little bit so I can get another one in there. It's still pretty thin. And then I can start, because that's nice and taut now, if you start beating on it, it'll actually bend rather than just flex and jump around. So I'll give it a couple of hits. See, I've nearly got that section down there too now. I'll cut along there one more time. We should just about get that corner. So all that was doing, like I say, is just keep chasing that little cut, tack it, chase the cut, tack it, and now you see with all that crazy shape that's along there, we have a perfect butt weld. Now I'm not worried about the shape, I'm worried about just a floor pan in, but that's how you can make your floor pan fit perfectly butted up. And I will run the grinder down them, but because there's a little gap, they're not sitting too proud. I'm not unhappy with that. And now you can just start chasing it down along here and spot welding it in to there, and we'll do the same on this corner that we've done with that one. Again, that top one will overlap the same way the factory one does, and we'll seam seal it. And if I was going to try and give you anything at all with that, when you're welding, number one, set up your welder the way I did. It just takes out that bad day that you used to have, and start your arc on the fresh steel and then just twitch it across like an involuntary spasm, just across the left. So you'd start on your fresh steel and just twitch him across, start on your fresh steel, twitch him across. It's rather than trying to start in the gap and you blow a hole, or trying to start on the older steel that's probably thinner, probably because it's a little bit rusty, but so far I'm not having too much trouble there. But start on your fresh steel, twitch across, get that twitch happening. And so continuing on, I've just cut along there and along there, and see how that's not even close to lining up, but when you start pushing it down, it'll come down. You can get one there, tack him there. That corner, I think I still need to take a tiny bit out of that corner. I might have to do that from underneath. Just push him down, put a tack there, let him come back up, and start working your way down there. Don't get too far ahead of yourself, because if you start cutting the whole thing, by the time you lay this down, this steel won't be where it was there. It'll move. So I'm just going to get that corner and to about here tacked in, and then we'll start again. And so we're tacked up to about here, but I've came back over here because this is the section with the most shape, and it's the most, well, it's a section that's going to move the most as the panel goes down. And I've tacked that guy there, and so now there's a bit of strength. You can actually go around and just shape that up. Then we'll cut down that side, and I might actually, rather than have that rounded, that's going to be hard to follow, I might actually cut straight across this side into a corner and then straight down that side, because the rust was really down here, so we're going out past it. So I'll nick up there, push that guy down, and then we'll cut and just keep chasing that shape around and push that panel across. As we get more and more tension, if you like, on the floor pan, I'll be able to chase that shape all the way across there with the hammer. You probably couldn't see what I was talking about from over there, but you see how now I'm getting a crease across here, but it disappears. There's not enough shape there. So as I cut that and spot weld that into about there, I will cut that on a straight angle rather than the cut that lines up with this edge. But I won't cut that one just yet. I'll maybe put a texture line to here, cut down there and chase that down, and then start putting the shape in here, because that'll bring that edge way down. So we're still 15 mil off the floor there, but as we chase that across, we'll just keep cutting as we go, cutting and button. So just like that, and if I take that away, you'll see the straight lines, just to make it easier on myself coming across straight rather than trying to cut it around. So I'm going to cut this side first. I'm not going to touch that steel because that's going to come down a mile, so I'll just start from here, cut up there, across maybe to about there, and then as that's going down, I'll start hammering in some shape there and get this closer to that panel. Perfectly butted along there, so we'll start tacking along there. That's hot, just by the way. You can sort of see where I'm headed with that. I started hammering in some more shape there. I've got all that, you know, tacked in there, and that's what I'm saying about don't get too far ahead of yourself. As it went down, it actually widened that gap. That's all right, just get the twitch, start on this side and just twitch it towards that side and you'll bridge that gap pretty easy. But you can see this section here, as I keep cutting, start cutting across here, it's just going to lay in. I'll just start pushing it in until you get to that corner. All that's nice and flush. I think that'll close up. That'll close up just nice. That just popped into place. Oh, if I tack to about there and just tap that back up, that's what I mean, cut on an angle. Essentially the cut's going to be like that, and it's just jumped together. I've got the slightest little lip. I've got a little lip here. I'll tap that down now. It's pretty much tacked in. Mint. Not gonna believe it. And as you're cutting all the way around all of that, all the little bits, you're essentially cutting them off, so you're not leaving behind an overlap. There it is there. That fits in there. Well, actually it'd fit down like that. That's the section that you've cut out. Because as you're slicing down, you're taking off that excess. If you remember, I said 50 mil or 40 mil. Did I say 40? Well, that's the excess there. That's all. Perfectly butted in. So if I've got you to that point, don't think you need me anymore. All you need to do is go around and fill in all the gaps, stitch him up. Just remember that little twitch. And underneath, if you have a look underneath, that's basically how it comes up. You can see it's penetrated right through because you've got a little gap there. There's where I got a little wide, but he's butted up all the way through. Don't forget, if that was any use to you, hit subscribe, fix it yourself. So all stitch welded in, and you've got to go a bit slow so you're not blowing holes, but that still is pretty good. And as I said, just little welds across the top there, because after all, that is spot welded in from factory, and so is that. So that's our end result. As I said, I'm not grinding up any of those welds. I'm just going to leave them for strength. Pull some seam sealer over it, etch prime this, seam seal it, and get underneath and do the same. So that's my floor in and seam sealed. I know it doesn't look great, but that's how it's done. With the factory overlaps and spot welds, the seam sealer is designed to not let moisture in behind your panel. And as far as your butt weld goes, if you've got one little porous weld or one little pinhole and you get some moisture from underneath or in there, that's what'll start your rust again. So do seam seal, as ugly as it looks. But then you can just go back over him. I'm just going to use some satin black. I'm going to run out of satin black is what I'm going to do. So that black's just etch primer, and this is just satin black top coat.